Have you ever caught your cat staring at you from across the room and then just slowly closing their eyes? Not falling asleep, not bored, just this slow, deliberate blink, like they're trying to tell you something. And then a few seconds later, they get up, walk over, and headbutt you right in the leg. If that's happened to you, I need you to know something. That's not random. That's not your cat just being weird. That is one of the most significant things a cat can do, and it means something very specific. Hi, I'm Dr. Kate Lewis, and I'm a veterinarian who spent most of my career working almost exclusively with cats. And if there's one question I get asked more than any other, in the clinic, in the parking lot, even at my kids' school pickup line, it's some version of this. Does my cat actually love me? Or am I just the guy who opens the food can? So today, I want to walk you through this properly because the answer is genuinely fascinating, and it's not what most people assume. Cats don't show affection the way dogs do. There's no tail wagging, no jumping up and down at the door. Cat affection is quiet. It's subtle. And honestly, most owners miss it completely. Not because their cat doesn't love them, but because nobody ever taught them what to actually look for. Here's the short version, and then I'm going to break down exactly why each one of these happens, because the why is genuinely the most interesting part. When a cat sees you not just as a friend, not just as a roommate who happens to pay the rent, but as an actual maternal figure, a protector, the way they'd see their own mother, they show you in very specific, almost involuntary ways. And once you know what to look for, you will never look at your cat the same way again. Let's start with the one almost everyone has experienced. Your cat sits on your lap, or maybe right next to you on the couch, and starts pushing their paws into you, one after another, almost like they're kneading dough. Some cats do it gently. Some cats do it so hard with their claws out that you're wincing and trying not to ruin the moment. Now, here's what's actually happening biologically. When kittens are nursing, they knead their mother's belly with their paws, alternating left and right, and that motion physically stimulates milk flow. It's not optional for them. It's wired into their nervous system from literally the first days of life. And here's the part that gets me every single time I explain this to a client. Cats are supposed to grow out of that behavior. Kneading is, technically speaking, an infantile behavior. Adult cats in the wild don't need anything. There's no reason to. But domestic cats keep doing it, sometimes their entire lives, and they specifically do it on the people they feel safest with. So when your cat needs you, what they are doing on a neurological level is treating you exactly like they treated their mother in the first weeks of their life. They're not thinking about it. They can't choose not to do it. It's an old, deep comfort response, and your lap is triggering the exact same part of their brain that their mother's belly used to trigger. That's not a small thing. That is genuinely one of the purest signs of trust a cat is capable of giving. Quick vet note here because I always get this question. If your cat kneads with their claws fully extended and it's painful, please don't push them off or scold them. That can actually damage the trust you're trying to understand in the first place. Just slide a folded blanket or towel under their paws. Problem solved, and they get to keep doing their thing. Okay, second behavior, and this is the one I mentioned at the very beginning, the slow blink. This one is special to me because it's actually been studied properly, not just passed around as pet owner folklore. Researchers at the University of Sussex ran a study where they had cat owners slow blink at their own cats and then measured how the cats responded. And the cats were significantly more likely to slow blink back and more likely to approach the person afterward, compared to when the owner just sat there with a neutral expression. Here's why that matters so much in cat language. In the feline world, direct, sustained eye contact is actually a threat signal. Predators stare. Prey watches and looks away. So when a cat closes their eyes in front of you, slowly, deliberately, while you're looking right at them, they are doing something that should feel dangerous to them and choosing to do it anyway. They're voluntarily making themselves vulnerable. That's not a small gesture from a species that survived for thousands of years by never letting its guard down. If your cat does this to you, the correct response, and I genuinely recommend trying this tonight, is to slow blink back. Look at them, soften your eyes, close them slowly, hold for a second, open them slowly. A lot of cats will do it again immediately, almost like a conversation. It sounds a little silly written out like this, but it is, as far as we understand feline communication, about as close to "I love you" as a cat can get. Now let's talk about something a little less pleasant for some of you, but honestly, it's one of the clearest signs there is: the gifts. If your cat has ever brought you a dead bug, a toy, or, for the unlucky among you, an actual dead mouse or bird, and dropped it proudly at your feet, I know it can feel gross or even a little insulting. Like, are you saying I can't feed myself? But that is not what's happening at all. In feral and semi-feral cat colonies, mother cats teach their kittens to hunt in stages. First, she brings dead prey to the nest so the kittens can investigate it safely. Then she starts bringing prey that's still alive but injured so the kittens can practice the kill themselves. It's a deliberate, structured teaching process. When your adult cat brings you something they've caught, even if it's just a toy mouse from under the couch, they are running that exact same maternal program, except now you're the one being taught, or in some interpretations, being provided for. Either way, it places you firmly inside their innermost circle. Cats do not do this for people they merely tolerate. Let's talk about head bunting next, because I think this one gets undersold. You know the move. Your cat walks up and presses the top of their head or the side of their face firmly against you. Sometimes it's a gentle little bump. Sometimes they really lean into it like they're trying to push you over. Cats have scent glands concentrated around their cheeks, their forehead, and the base of their ears. When they bunt against you, they are physically depositing their scent onto you. And this part is important. This isn't aggressive territorial marking the way some people assume. This is the same scent exchange behavior that happens between a mother cat and her kittens, and between cats who live together as family. They're essentially saying, "You smell like part of my group now. You belong to me, and I belong to you." There's actually a layered version of this too. If your cat headbutts you and then immediately starts purring, that combination is considered one of the strongest bonding signals a cat can give. The bunting marks you as family, and the purring underneath it is the same sound a kitten makes to communicate contentment and safety to its mother. Put those two together, and you're looking at about as close to a hug as a cat is biologically capable of giving you. Speaking of purring, let's actually talk about that, because most people think cats just purr when they're happy, and that's only part of the story. Purring actually starts incredibly early. Kittens can purr within just a few days of being born, long before they can see or hear properly, and they use it specifically to communicate with their mother, mainly to signal, "I'm here, I'm okay, don't worry." It's one of the very first forms of communication a cat ever develops, and it's aimed entirely at one individual, their mother. So when your adult cat curls up next to you and starts purring, especially if it's that low, content rumble rather than the higher, more urgent purr cats sometimes use when they're stressed or in pain, they are, quite literally, using the exact vocal tool they were born with to communicate with their mother, and pointing it directly at you. I know that sounds almost too sweet to be biologically accurate, but it really is that direct. Now here's one that surprises almost everyone I tell this to: meowing. If you've ever owned multiple cats, you've probably noticed something strange. Adult cats almost never meow at each other. They hiss, they yowl during conflict, they have all sorts of vocalizations for cat-to-cat communication. But the classic meow, that specific sound, is mostly reserved for kittens talking to their mother, and for adult cats talking to humans. In other words, your cat developed an entire separate vocabulary, specifically for you. Cats figured out, somewhere over thousands of years of living alongside us, that humans respond well to that particular sound, the one they used as kittens to get their mother's attention. So every single time your cat meows at you, whether it's a tiny chirp by the food bowl or a long, dramatic yowl in the middle of the night, you are, on some level, being addressed the exact same way they once addressed their own mother. Let's talk about sleep, because where a cat chooses to sleep tells you more than almost anything else. Sleep is, biologically speaking, the most vulnerable state any animal can be in. No alertness, no defenses, completely exposed. A cat who chooses to sleep curled up against you, or worse, better, fully stretched out on their back with their belly exposed near you, is making an enormous statement of trust. In the wild, exposing the belly is about as defenseless as a cat can get. There's no quick escape from that position. If your cat does that around you, even occasionally, that is not a small thing. That's your cat's nervous system telling them, this is safe enough to fully let go. And there's actual research behind this too, not just observation. Studies looking at the cat-owner bond have found that cats with stronger attachments to their owners are significantly more likely to want access to the bedroom at night, and to choose to sleep on or near their person rather than alone somewhere else in the house. So if you've got a cat who insists on sleeping against your leg, on your chest, or curled into the crook of your arm every single night, that's not just about warmth. That's a cat who has decided, out of every single safe spot in your entire home, this is where I feel the most protected. Okay, before I wrap this up, I do want to be honest with you about something, because I think it matters more than people realize. Cat behaviorists are actually a little divided on exactly how literally we should interpret all of this. Your cat almost certainly knows on some level that you're not a cat. They recognize your voice, your scent, your footsteps, your face. None of that is in question. But whether they consciously think of you as mother in the way we'd understand that concept, that's genuinely difficult to prove with current science. What we do know with much more confidence is that the attachment style cats form with their primary caregiver looks remarkably similar, behaviorally and even hormonally, to the attachment a young child forms with a parent. Some researchers describe it less as cat thinks human is mom, and more as your cat has wired their entire trust system around you, the exact same way they would have wired it around their mother, if she were still around. Honestly, I think that's actually more meaningful, not less. It means none of this is performance. None of this is your cat trying to manipulate you into more treats. Well, okay, sometimes it is about the treats. We all know that look. But the kneading, the slow blinks, the head bunts, the way they sleep pressed against you, that's not learned behavior they're putting on for an audience. That's their actual nervous system, the same one that was built to bond them to their mother in the first weeks of life, now wired straight to you. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight, or whenever you're next together, just pay attention. Watch for the slow blink and try giving one back. Notice if they need before they settle down to sleep. See where they choose to sleep when they have the entire house available to them. And honestly, count how many of these 7 things your own cat does. In my experience, most cats do at least 4 or 5 of them regularly. And once you start noticing, you really can't stop seeing it. If this changed the way you're going to look at your cat tonight, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this kind of information reach more cat owners who've been wondering the exact same thing. Subscribe if you want more of these deep dives into what your cat's behavior is actually telling you, because there is so much more we haven't even touched yet. And leave me a comment. I'd really love to know, which one of these did your cat do that made you go, oh, that's what that means? I read every single one. Give your cat a gentle scratch behind the ears from me tonight, and I'll see you in the next video.